Here are your video notes for lesson 5.5, which is on congruence. And this is a page right out of your book, so you can see lesson 5.5 is on congruence. And key thing about congruence is here you see a picture of identical twins, and over here we have the DNA profiles of them. Vocabulary words that you should know for this are correspondence and congruent figures. Correspondence, if we look at the DNA patterns here, you probably can tell which DNA patterns are for the identical twins. And it's A and B because if you look at their DNA patterns, you can see parts of them that correspond to each other and they match up identical. And it's just correspondence is a way of matching up two sets of objects. And then you have the definition for congruent figures. So if you'd like to pause the video now and copy down everything that you see on this right here, go ahead and do that. Just kidding. Don't actually pause the video and copy all that down. Let me get rid of all of this stuff and I'll let you know what I do want you to write down. That stuff's gone. Should have that written down with me, and then I'd like to have you write down a definition for congruence or congruent figures. Congruent figures will be figures that have the same size and shape. And as a result, corresponding sides and angles have equal measures. You should probably include here somewhere, there is a symbol for congruence and it looks like that. It's an equal sign with a squiggly. For an example, if you would draw a triangle so that it's got a long side, I got to get a pen to draw with. So we have a long side, a medium side, and a short side, and we'll label this triangle ABC. Then next to it, I'd like you to try to draw an identical triangle. I'm going to kind of cheat to do this. So I select this, and I'm going to copy it. And now I'm going to paste that triangle again. I have an identical one that I'm going to bring the identical triangle over here. But to be tricky, I don't want you to just draw it just like that. I want you to try to draw it where it's, if I can grab the green dot, where it's flipped over. Okay. And then let's label this triangle D, E, F. So as we look at our two triangles, they should be identical. And then we're going to write what's called a congruent statement. This is where we're going to name the one triangle and say triangle ABC. We're going to use the congruent symbol and say it's congruent to another triangle. And it's not as easy as just putting the letters in alphabetical order of D, E, F. We're going to have to know that we have to match the letters up so that the corresponding parts match up. A is right here. We have to decide, does A match up with D, does it match up with E, or does it match up with F? I hope you guys recognize that it should match up with E, which we have out here. And so E has to be our first letter, so it matches up in order with A. And if we look at B now, B has to match up with letter F down here. So we have F second, which leaves us that the final point C has to match up with point D here, and we would have, this is now triangle DEF. Now let's see how we use congruence with the two triangles to go through and do some other examples. We are going to throw in some numbers here. Let's say this side over here was 50. So would you put a 50 up there on that side? Let's say that this side over here, we're going to write this as 2m plus 20. And let's say that this angle down here is 3k. And we will move over here and label some stuff here. This is a 36-degree angle. This is a 34-degree angle. And this angle down here is 110. Meanwhile, we will say this side is 8j and this side is 60. So if you were told now to find the missing variables, we are wanting to find out what value needs to be put in here for m, what needs to get put in here for k, and what needs to get put in here for j. So for example 1, let's find j. 8j is this side. And if we're looking at this side right here, you should know that that is side EF. Down here, EF matches up with AB, so if we go over here for AB, this side matches up. We know that 8J has to be equal to 50, so we'd write it, this equals 50 and have that equation to solve. Example 2, if we went to find K, we should know that goes with angle C. So if we write 3K, we need to figure out angle C right here matches up with which one of these three angles. So if we look at C, C goes with angle D, which is right here. So we should be looking at 3K has to equal 36, and then we would have for the third one that the M, 2M is this side. That's side BC, and side BC has to match up with FD. So up here, side FD is 60. So we have the equation that 2m plus 20 has to equal 60. And now if we go through and solve these equations, would be the last step. If we divide this by 8, we divide this by 8, we get the j by itself, and 50 comes out to 6.25. Here we would have to divide this side by 3, we would have to divide this side by 3. 36 divided by 3 is 12. And over here we have a two-step equation to solve. We need to take away 20 from both sides to get rid of that. We'll have that 2m now equals 40. And if we divide by 2 and divide by 2, we would have that m equals 20. So our three answers here would end up being j is 6.25, k is 12, and m is 20. And that concludes your video notes. We'll be working on an assignment that will use this information tomorrow.